It is market morning in a small English town around the year 1400. Before sunrise, a cart arrives carrying sacks of wool. The horse is healthy, the driver is ready, the road ahead is open, but the cart is not moving. A small iron strap near one wheel has cracked. Almost everything else is made from wood, yet that single piece of iron carries enough pressure that the entire vehicle is now useless. The driver has a problem bigger than a broken fitting. If he misses the market, the best buyers may be gone. If rain begins, the wool could be damaged. If he cannot deliver the load, the merchant who hired him may refuse to pay. So he turns toward the loudest building on the edge of town. Inside, a blacksmith heats the broken strap, reshapes it, reinforces the weak point, and returns it before the market opens. The driver is not really buying iron. He is buying back the hours that the broken cart threatened to take from him. That was the true market for a medieval blacksmith. His world was built largely from wood, wooden carts, wooden plows, wooden doors, wooden buildings, wooden mills, and wooden furniture. But these objects depended on iron wherever pressure, friction, or security mattered most. The blacksmith did not manufacture the whole medieval economy. He kept it from stopping. But being essential did not automatically make him rich. Iron cost money. Fuel disappeared into the fire. Customers often needed repairs before they had cash. Tools wore down, apprentices needed food, and every order competed for the same limited number of working hours. So today, we are opening a blacksmith shop in an English market town. We will discover what it needs, who pays it, which orders produce the best margins, and whether one smoky workshop could create real wealth. The popular image of a medieval blacksmith begins with weapons. A knight enters, a sword is placed on the anvil. Sparks rise as the smith produces something fit for battle. That certainly happens somewhere, but it is a poor model for the ordinary town blacksmith. In larger cities, metalworking was already divided among specialized crafts. Armorers, cutlers, spurriers, locksmiths, farriers, and other metalworkers could protect their own areas of business. Surviving records from medieval London show an increasingly complex metal economy shaped by markets, specialist skills, regulation, and trade in raw materials. Our blacksmith is a general repairer and manufacturer. His customers are farmers bringing worn agricultural tools. Carters arrive with wheel fittings and damaged chains. Builders need nails, straps, hinges, brackets, and clamps. Householders want hooks, latches, fire tools, and repairs to cooking equipment. Mills require sharpened tools and replacement fittings. Inns need stable hardware, merchants need chests secured, travelers arrive with broken tack or worn horse equipment. These objects are less impressive than swords, but they share one crucial economic advantage. They wear out. A sword might remain stored for years. A plow edge is dragged through soil and stone. A cart fitting absorbs shock on every rough road. A hinge moves each time a door opens. A mill tool loses its edge through use. The blacksmith's strongest customer was not the person who wanted something beautiful. It was the person whose existing equipment could no longer earn money. Location was part of the business model. We will place our workshop near the road entering town. That is not a random choice. Archaeologists excavating a 12th century smithy at Chevely in Cambridgeshire found it near the edge of the settlement but beside the route leading toward the high street. That location balanced two competing needs. The fire, smoke, hammering, and risk of sparks were kept away from the village center. At the same time, the smith remained accessible to residents and passing customers. The site produced slag, charcoal, iron objects, sharpening stones, horseshoe nails, and evidence of both industrial and household activity. Our shop therefore gains three customer streams. The first comes from the town itself. The second comes from surrounding farms. The third comes from road traffic. Carts, riders, and merchants who may never have planned to visit but cannot continue without a repair. That third group is especially valuable. A local farmer might negotiate, request credit, or promise payment after harvest. A traveler with a broken fitting has fewer options. He needs the work. Completed now. Modern businesses pay heavily for a location with passing traffic. The medieval smith paid in different ways. Distance from the best houses, exposure to mud, the risk of fire, and the inconvenience of operating near the settlement boundary. Still, the road does something advertising cannot. It continuously brings damaged equipment past the workshop door. Before the first customer arrives, the owner needs a functioning production system. At its center is the hearth. The fire must become hot enough to soften iron without simply destroying it. Air enters through bellows and is directed toward the fuel. The smith needs an anvil or comparable working surface, hammers of different weights, tongs, punches, chisels, files, and tools for cutting and shaping hot metal. He also needs a water container, space for fuel, storage for iron, and somewhere to keep unfinished customer property separate from his own stock. Historic England distinguishes a smithy from an iron smelting site. Smelting transformed ore into metal and was strongly influenced by access to ore, fuel, and water. Smithing transformed existing iron into usable objects and was therefore more likely to be located within or beside a settlement, close to customers. This distinction changes our startup budget. We do not need a mine. We do not need to extract ore. We do not need to produce every bar of iron ourselves. But we do need working capital. Iron must be purchased before it can be turned into a hinge, tool, or cart fitting. Fuel must be available before the customer pays. Rent may be due whether the shop is busy or empty. The owner also needs money for food and household expenses during the opening weeks. That is why the cost of starting the business cannot be measured only by adding up the tools. The most dangerous shortage is not a missing hammer. It is running out of cash, while valuable metal is still sitting unfinished on the workshop floor. The blacksmith holds three important forms of inventory. The first is new iron. This is predictable, valuable, and suitable for demanding work. But every unused bar represents money that has already left the owner's purse. The second is higher quality material used where hardness or a durable cutting edge matters. It is more expensive and therefore used carefully rather than placed throughout every object. The third is scrap. Old horseshoes, damaged straps, broken hinges, rejected pieces, and useful offcuts can return to the fire. Archaeological evidence from Chevely indicates that medieval smiths could obtain iron both as bars from producing regions and as scrap collected locally. Valuable tools and reusable metal were likely removed when the site was abandoned, while fragments and waste remained behind. Scrap creates one of the most important small advantages in the business. Suppose a customer asks for a broken hinge to be replaced. The smith charges for the new hinge. If the old metal remains at the workshop, some of its value returns to the owner as future material. One piece is not much, but a business serving hundreds of repairs gradually builds a reserve of iron that did not have to be purchased at full merchant prices. This does not mean all scrap is equally useful. Poor or contaminated material can waste time. Reworking old iron also consumes fuel and labor, yet the scrap pile protects the shop from two dangers: expensive supply and interrupted deliveries. It is medieval inventory management disguised as rubbish. Iron can wait in storage. Fuel cannot be recovered once it is burned. Charcoal was important in pre-industrial ironworking, while different locations and periods could use other fuels. Archaeological identification of a smithy often depends partly on residues such as charcoal, slag, fired material, and tiny fragments produced during hammering. Every reheating consumes part of the shop's margin. An experienced smith tries to organize work so that heat is not wasted. Several small items may be prepared while the hearth is active. An apprentice might operate the bellows, move fuel, fetch tools, or perform simpler work, while the master handles difficult stages. A badly organized shop could be busy all day and still lose money. Imagine that a customer changes an order halfway through. The piece returns to the fire. More fuel is consumed. An apprentice overheats a small fitting. The material may need to be replaced. A customer fails to collect finished work. The smith has spent fuel and labor but received no payment. This makes fuel different from iron. Iron is visible in the object and can usually be included in the price. The customer does not see every piece of charcoal consumed while the smith prepares the shop, corrects mistakes, or waits for the right temperature. The owner must recover that hidden expense across all his orders. The workshop therefore rewards rhythm. Heat the metal, shape it, move immediately to the next piece. Use the remaining fire for another task. Keep the apprentice occupied. Avoid unnecessary reheating. The strongest smith is not necessarily the one who swings the hardest. It may be the one who wastes the least. Not every order is equally valuable. At the bottom of the revenue ladder are simple, repeatable goods. Nails are the clearest example. A slightly later account from Wells Cathedral records nails in batches of hundreds and even thousands. Spike nails, board nails, hatch nails, tack nails, lead nails, and lath nails. Buildings consumed iron in volume even when each individual piece was small. Nails create steady work, and they are useful for training an apprentice, but they also compete heavily on price. The customer cares about quantity and reliability more than artistry. Above nails are ordinary fittings: hooks, straps, brackets, bolts, and simple hinges. These require more variation, but the smith can still repeat familiar forms. Next come repairs. A repair may use little new metal while carrying significant value to the customer. Restoring a cart fitting can prevent a missed market. Sharpening an agricultural implement can save a day of labor. Repairing mill equipment can restore an income-producing machine. Above repairs is urgent work. Urgency changes what the customer is willing to pay. A farmer who can return next week may compare prices. A traveler stranded beside the road cannot. At the top is high-skill custom work. A surviving European lock from the 15th or 16th century demonstrates how sophisticated ironwork could become. Some Gothic locks use complex decorative forms and concealed mechanisms, with certain examples requiring several keys in sequence. A lock like that is not ordinary village work. It requires more skill, more time, and a wealthier customer. Yet it also carries risk. If the mechanism fails, hours of labor may be lost. The ideal shop does not depend entirely on one level. Volume goods keep people working. Repairs produce healthy margins. Emergency jobs create premium revenue. Occasional custom commissions raise the owner's reputation. Let us return to the farmer, the carter, and the miller. Each customer sees the price differently. The farmer compares the repair with the value of work that can be completed before the weather changes. The carter compares it with the cost of failing to deliver his load. The miller compares it with the grain that cannot be processed while equipment is unavailable. That means the blacksmith's work can be worth far more than the metal inside it. This is where pricing becomes difficult. Charge only for iron in minutes, and the smith ignores the economic value he creates. Charge too much, and customers delay repairs, travel elsewhere, or attempt temporary solutions. The owner needs to understand 4 things. How urgently is the object needed? How much material will the job consume? How much workshop time will it block? And how likely is the customer to pay? The last question may be the most important. A wealthy estate can place valuable orders, but its administrator may expect formal accounts and scheduled payment. A farmer may be trustworthy, but cash poor until harvest. A traveler may pay immediately, but never return. A builder may order hundreds of pieces and then dispute the count. The shop is not simply selecting jobs. It is selecting combinations of margin, urgency, repeat business, and payment risk. Our shop has one apprentice. At first glance, this appears to solve the labor problem cheaply. The apprentice receives training rather than an ordinary adult wage. But training has a cost. The apprentice lives within the master's household or remains closely dependent on it. He needs food, lodging, and clothing. He consumes material while learning. He may damage work, misjudge heat, or require constant supervision. At the beginning, the apprentice can make the master slower. Later, he becomes essential. He pumps the bellows, manages fuel, holds tools, repeats simpler products, and helps move heavy work. Eventually, he can complete profitable tasks while the master speaks with customers or works on a more difficult commission. In London, access to the craft was connected to civic freedom, company membership, and apprenticeship. The Historical Blacksmiths Company describes the guild's role as protecting customers from poor work, supervising apprenticeship, and regulating trade. A trained apprentice could eventually gain freedom to work for another master or establish a business. This creates an economic contradiction. The apprentice is most expensive when he is least useful. By the time he becomes highly productive, the end of his training is closer. A good master therefore teaches him enough to increase the shop's output while building loyalty strong enough that he might remain as a worker, partner, or future family connection. The apprentice is not merely labor. He is a long-term investment whose value grows slowly beside the fire. Now let us build a sample weekly ledger. This is not a surviving medieval account. It is an illustrative model designed to show how the economics work. Medieval English accounts use pounds, shillings, and pence. There were 12 pence in a shilling and 20 shillings, or 240 pence, in 1 pound. During our reconstructed week, the shop completes several sharpening and repair jobs worth 22 pence, one urgent cart repair and related work worth 18 pence, a small batch of building hardware worth 12 pence, household fittings and one better quality lock worth 18 pence, and part of an ongoing maintenance arrangement worth another 20 pence. Total weekly revenue, 90 pence, or 7 shillings and 6 pence. Now subtract the costs. Iron and limited higher quality material consume 25 pence. Fuel and transport consume 8. A weekly share of rent consumes 5. Food, clothing, and household support associated with the apprentice consume an estimated 15. Toolware, guild obligations, waste, and unpaid balances consume another 7. That leaves 30 pence, or 2 shillings and 6 pence. It sounds respectable until we notice what is missing. The owner has not paid himself for his own labor. That remaining money must reward the master's working hours, provide household income, replace major tools, protect the shop during illness, and finance the next purchase of iron. The business has positive cash flow. That does not mean it has produced substantial profit. Now change only a few things. Rain keeps travelers away, a builder postpones an order, one farmer asks to pay after harvest, an apprentice damages material on a complicated job. Revenue falls from 90 pence to 56. But costs do not fall at the same speed. The apprentice still eats. Rent is unchanged. The shop still requires fuel. Iron has already been purchased. The household still needs money. Our weekly expenses fall only slightly, from 60 pence to approximately 52. The shop finishes with a surplus of 4 pence before paying the master. One unpaid order can erase it. This is the central weakness of the business. The owner's expenses occur before or during production. His income may arrive later. A growing order book can therefore create a cash crisis. More customers require more iron. More iron requires more money. If those customers pay slowly, the workshop can look successful while the owner's purse becomes empty. The smith must protect himself through deposits, customer-supplied material, regular maintenance payments, careful credit, or a reserve of cash and reusable scrap. Skill brings customers through the door. Payment discipline keeps the door open. So could the owner of this shop become wealthy? He could probably build a stable living if the town provided enough demand, if he controlled waste, and if customers paid reliably. He also held a respected position. His work connected farms, transport, construction, household security, and local trade. But one hearth has a natural limit. The owner possesses only so many working hours. A complicated commission may occupy the shop for days. Illness can stop production. Every additional order increases the demand for fuel, iron, and labor. To become genuinely wealthy, the smith needs the business to earn money beyond his own hammer. He might employ trained workers. He might secure recurring arrangements with estates, mills, builders, or transport operators. He might sell standardized hardware made during quiet periods. He might control a better supply of iron, extend credit carefully, or invest profits. In property, he might also move upward from pure production into coordination, taking large orders, dividing work among other craftsmen, and earning from the system rather than only from his own physical effort. That is the final answer. A medieval blacksmith shop was not primarily a weapon factory. It was the maintenance department for a world in which almost every important wooden object depended on a small amount of iron. Its most valuable product was not the nail, hinge, lock, or sharpened tool. It was continuity. The farmer could return to the field. The mill could turn again. The merchant could reach the market. And the cart waiting outside our workshop at sunrise, it leaves before the best buyers are gone. The blacksmith has not sold much metal, but he has saved an entire day.